Hello, I am Angus. I am the Executive Director of OutdoorArtsUK, and it is brilliant to see so many of you here, and so many new faces. Where was our student group? Sort of somewhere over there. Hi, guys. Who's performing this afternoon? Who's performing? Which of you are performing? Excellent. This is like the top professionals, so good luck with that. As RuPaul says, don't fuck it up. Which reminds me, we're live streaming this, so I'm not supposed to say fuck or bugger too much. There we are. Screw that up. Yeah, we are live streaming it. If we get full, there's a breakout space if you just want to go and watch somewhere a little bit quieter, but it's live via YouTube. Who knew? How marvellous. So a quick overview of the day I will give, then a little bit about why we're here, and a little bit about why I'm here. Housekeeping first. Toilets are outside, the way you came in, and upstairs, disabled loo on the ground floor. Wi-Fi is box public. There are no fire alarm tests scheduled today, so if the fire alarm goes, and we did actually manage to make the fire alarms go off yesterday when we were testing the heaters. Your exits are here, here, and there. Oh, I feel like an air stewardess, that's lovely. The overflow space is in the, just behind the barber shop, in the cafe there. And yes, if you've got friends who might want to watch, go onto our YouTube channel and you will find us there. So, my name is Angus, and I have been Executive Director of OutdoorArtsUK for the last 4 years. And I have a funny little journey into the world of outdoor arts. I worked at the National Theatre for many, many years, and I did an indoor programme there for a long time. And then the guy who ran the indoor programme left, and they cocked up the replacement and asked me to do it. And I had no feeling for the sector at all. And I said, I'll do 1 year of this outdoor thing, and then I'll move on. I did 1 year, and I was like, don't take this away from me, it's the best thing, it's the best thing, it's the tribe I never knew I wanted to live with, and it was wonderful. And so I carried on programming that for them for 10 years. Then I was lucky enough to go onto the Claw Leadership Programme, and just as that came to an end, this job came up, so it was all perfect. And so I've been here 4 years. We've changed the name. It used to be the Independent Street Arts Network. We're now Outdoor Arts UK. The membership when I arrived was 87. It's now 305. Hurrah! In the last Arts Council NPO round, we got a 93% uplift. Yay! And we did a little calculation. We have the events program that we now deliver is 4 times the size it used to be. So I think we're doing quite well. Very happy with that. What I just have to point out is, anyone who knows me knows I'm really sort of very fascist about fonts and things. So there's quite a lot of font action going on all over the place. We're in the middle of a revisioning, so there's a sort of bit of new branding, a bit of old branding. So if it doesn't quite match, I'm mortified, but don't worry about it. It's on the way. It's on the way. And just a little word about why we're doing this. So normally, we run a 2-day conference that's usually quite pricey, and it takes place every 2 years. And as I was doing my travels this year, quite a lot of people were saying, you know what, times are a little bit challenging, and we're a little bit worried about the money, and we're a little bit worried about being able to afford it. And quite a few people said to me, well, we'll send one person where we'd normally send the whole team and things. And then the other thing I noticed as I was traveling around was I was going to lots of events and symposiums and discussions, and there was a lot of talking in the sector. So actually the need for the big one wasn't necessarily quite so pressing. And I think with the money, the other thing I thought about the money is I quite wanted to keep some of our budget back in case of Brexit shenanigans mean that we need a little bit of extra cash to help people out. So that's why it's now free. Yay! And I made you pay for your dinner if you were there last night. Sorry about that. That was the only bit we asked for. So that's the nature of this event, and we'll take a review after this about how we move on. And yeah, so many other events that were taking place that were really good. And it used to, actually, somebody said it cost about £500 per person. So what we then did was we thought it would be good to invite new people. So we do have people from business improvement districts, from local authorities, from Creative People and Places schemes who've not necessarily been part of the conference before, and some venues as well. So we're really pleased about that. So what we're going to talk about today. Today, we've got 1 day of this. We're going to do a little bit of background, myself and Deb, on the sector. So if you're new to it, a little bit of history, a little bit of where we are now. We're going to share some evidence about the sector, about why we do it and who we do it for. We're going to then talk about how a show is made, and we're using a local piece of work. We're using Bridge to tell that story. And then we have a little intro to the Coventry's City of Culture, and then we have the breakout groups. And I hope there's enough time for those. I've extended the time, an hour and a half, so I hope you can get some really good conversations there. One on festivals, one on developing companies, one on finance and funding, and one on making a show. They're meant to be very interactive. We've got some really brilliant people from the sector talking there, but please share your knowledge too in those rooms. Then we'll have lunch. It's all vegetarian, largely vegan as well, from local providers, which is excellent. In the afternoon, we'll talk a little bit about what we do or don't know about Brexit. And then it's the Ideas Summit. We sort of hand over to the artists, and we will have 21 pitches, and that will be followed by the marketplace. In the middle of that, we're doing a thing called, I'm calling opportunities pitching. It came in Great Yarmouth, I think. A lot of the artists said, why is it always us doing the pitching? So we've asked various organisations to do some quick pitches too. So we'll see how that goes, see if that's a fun thing. I'm going to finish. I'm going to give you my top 10 moments of 2019. Woohoo! Very exciting. And then the marketplace will take place after all that. You've got an hour to go shopping in the marketplace. It's actually a marketplace, so you can do Christmas shopping at the same time as buying shows. That's amazing. You can buy vinyl, you can buy books, there's a craft shop. It's perfect. And then the Twisted Barrel will be the pub at the end of the day. See you in there. Of course, the bits that really count are often the bits in between, the networking time, at lunchtime, at the coffee breaks. And I like to, a little networking thought is never make it a closed conversation. So anybody, go up to anybody and join a conversation. So if somebody joins you don't know, please include them in your conversation. That's just a great way, especially for so many new people here, especially for some of the more seasoned hands in the sector. So please be as welcoming. This is a wonderful sector. Everyone's very, very generous. I'll try not to use too many acronyms. If I do, you can obviously ask me what they are, or anybody else. Right, we're going to begin. First of all, Deb, our chair. Deb, my God, dear Deb. So Deb is a star, and is the founder of Emergency Exit Arts, which is about to turn 40, which is pretty damn marvellous. So Deb's going to give a little background, but it's going to have a kind of Emergency Exit Arts context, is it not? Is that what we're saying? And then it's the 40th birthday next year, is that right?
Yes.
Grand, lovely. Am I on PowerPoint duty? I think I am.
You are.
All right, wish me luck with that, everyone. Well, yeah, I'm good to go. Right.
Great. Oh, so yes, this is a bit of a personal perspective. This. It's such a and I can't see anybody because of that light. Yeah.
There we go.
But I do kind of refer to some of you, and if I leave any of you out, please forgive me, because this is not a definitive overview of the last 40 years of outdoor arts. But I'm very proud to be associated with this sector. I'd also like to say that back when I started, I was one of the very few women that was in a leadership role. And things have changed in a big way. So we started, Emergency Exit Arts started in 1980. Yes, first slides, please. Where are you? You are, Angus. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I haven't changed much. Margaret Thatcher was in power. Oh, it's on a pulse, so it's just going to play. I do this every, sorry. She came to power in 1980, but we're still here. Thank goodness. Now, like Welfare State International, and I will refer to Welfare State International a lot. Is anybody who's heard of Welfare State International? Yeah, thank you. It was founded in 1968, and they paved the path for many of us. We were, like them, we were a collective of radical artists who explored ideas of celebratory community arts and spectacle. And like me, people who worked with Welfare State went on to form their own companies. And there's a lovely roll call there that's gone speeding by, but I'll mention some of them. Is anybody from IOU here? 43 years ago. Same Sky in Brighton. Walk the Plank in Salford. Kinetica in Essex. B Arts. The world famous. And now, the company, and now. 30 years experience, Lantern Company, Liverpool. And then there's another roll call after this one, not forgetting the Desperate Men, who are based in Bristol, and that company will also be 40 years next year. I'm looking forward to hearing about their plans for 2020 that will mark the end of desperation, they tell me. Is that right? So from welfare state onwards, I must also, because I forgot to put some people on and they're here now. So Bureau of Silly Ideas, 1998. Mandinga Carnival Arts, 2002. I'm not going any further than that. So, from welfare state onwards, we shared artists and ideas about aesthetics, politics and participation, which have continued to resonate to this day. I believe there's still a sense that we are a tribe or a family of artists who have been evolving these values with new generations of outdoor artists, some of whom have even been born into it. When we first started, experiments, yes, there was a freedom to experiment, because there weren't any fixed ideas about what was correct or how things should be done. I think that's possibly still the case. I've always seen my work as a series of experiments. And that led us on to all sorts of journeys on the streets, in town squares, swimming pools, lakes. There's a particular characteristic that exists in outdoor arts, because you never quite know what will happen in a public space. With interruptions, the unknown, we've become resilient and responsive, happy to improvise and play with whatever changes the space. There's always been a degree of risk-taking, and there's not much that we aren't prepared to try. Do you think that's true? I think so. So, there's some pictures here. Sounds unusual on the South Bank and also in Glasgow Govan Dockyard. This was a sound installation made of discarded white goods, with the rhythmic sound of a giant rubbish skip and the drone of a conveyor belt. And it was a comment on consumerism at its worst. I mean, everything that was on that actually was in good working order, but had been thrown away. Rungarung in the early 2000s. Rungarung means the colour of colours, or knees up, I think. A collaboration between Trinidadian carnivalists, classical Indian dancers, a mobile Bollywood cinema screen, pyro performers, and Ajay Chabra, where are you, Ajay? Over there, who made a marvellous still walking auntie. And all collaborating to create an immersive experience inspired by street festival traditions. It forged long-standing relationships with people like the London Mellor, Scarabaeus, who were a sort of seminal aerial acrobatics company, and with festival producers, actually most notably with Watch This Space, a bit before your time though, Angus, but yeah. And Events International in Stockton and many other festivals. From that, our Bollywood elephant and the human Catherine wheel that featured in Rungarung have continued to be central to EEA's repertoire. And what of the digital technology experiment? I found a new lease of life, I think, and of creative life, exploring that avenue. I'm loving the interactivity of simple Arduino computer technology, augmented reality, video mapping, movement sensors, and whatever else is out there. Anything that enhances the performer-audience relationship is important to me and fits very much into EEA's engagement focus. So companies I've worked with in recent times, Output Arts in London, Dan Fox, son of John Fox, who founded Welfare State International from Sound Intervention. They've all helped EEA to cross the boundary between the handmade and the hands-free. So, back to Welfare State, they wrote a seminal book called Engineers of the Imagination. Have you read it, any of you? Yeah. It was a philosophy, but it was also a really practical handbook for makers and ritualists. So engineering came to the forefront of EEA's work, with artists such as Andy Plant, Tim Hunkin, Les Sharp, John Wassell, you're here, aren't you? Yeah. Pete Mountain, Roy Gervitz, and Mike Patterson, he's probably worked for a lot of you, and Gordon Allam, continuing to explore the welfare state aesthetic with found objects, recycled scrap and old car chassis. Over this time, we've had a life-size windmill on Blackheath animated by pyrotechnics, a Captain Nemo's submarine that rose out of a swimming pool, any number of eccentric vehicles, and later giant mechanical puppets. animated mechanically, that is, and built on disused electrically powered golf buggies so that we could discard horrible carbon-burning trucks. And later we went on to develop a kit of mobile stages which sort of addressed the problem of performers and sightlines. It's good to hear more about recent discussions acknowledging mechanical and other engineering as an art form. The Shedonism gatherings at the 101 Centre in Newbury with Piff Paff's Pete Gunson leading that. Are you here, Pete? Maybe not today. It's encouraging that there's new experiments happening. Coventry's own Highly Sprung with their urban astronaut spring to mind. And we'll hear from Imagineer, of course, this morning about their wondrous bridge project through working in partnership with local and global engineering companies. That's not engineering, anyway. With a broad palette of celebratory outdoor arts, we've been able to pioneer new ways of reaching communities. Outdoor arts companies like EEA tick the boxes of many local authorities, funders, sponsors, and so on, whilst being able to remain true to their artistic goals. Over these past decades, many of us have pioneered new ways of reaching people and communities, in particular supporting marginalised and displaced communities to reframe their cultural traditions as spectacular celebrations for the wider community to enjoy. Now, throughout the UK, villages, towns, city centres are annually transformed with street festivals, carnivals and festivals of lights that celebrate local distinctiveness, heritage, civic pride and many other things. The spread and popularity of Artichoke's Lumiere and other festivals of light have sprung up everywhere and prove how fascinating, witty and beautiful technologically realised artwork can be. You'll hear later about EEA's current show Blink, See Peace Differently, with its projected eyes animated by motion sensors. But the outdoors also gave us the opportunity to create work of scale and also meant we could set fire to things and blow things up, which is a bit I liked. I've always had a fascination with fire and light. Fire is meaningful across all cultures, full of symbolism and power, cathartic, transformative, wild. I'll get carried away in a minute. Inspired by the beautiful sculptural fire installations created by Caraboss. Has anybody seen Caraboss's work? It's beautiful. And Walk the Planks Fire Garden. I then went on to create something playful and interactive while still using fire. So EA artists recently invented Dr. Kronovator's Fire Laboratory with its fascinating interactive playfulness. Over the past 40 years, the work has reflected and have overtly drawn attention to issues that affect all our lives, particularly reoccurring concerns such as the proliferation of nuclear weapons and climate change, of course. In 1984, we toured a politically satirical Christmas grotto to the striking miners in Kent and the women campaigning against nuclear weapons at Greenham Common. We worked closely with Greenpeace on numerous campaigns, including the use of fish oils in biscuits. There was a picture of some puffins earlier on that was destroying the biodiversity of the North Sea. Thousands of puffins turned up outside United Biscuits and scared them. Over the last 10 years, we've used our skills to support campaigns we strongly believe in, creating street theatre that encouraged recycling, including a giant robot made out of wheelie bins. This year, it's been outdoor artists who have provided the memorable moments and extraordinary images that have defined the Extinction Rebellion protests. The engine behind all these creations has been collaborations with visual artists, makers, musicians, engineers, and pyrotechnists, acrobats, dancers, and physical performers, digital artists, poets, and clowns. Co-creation of events with communities, including EA's Young Street Theatre Squad and our Young at Heart People's Parlour for the over 65s, have also informed much of what we do. Now, there's great generosity in this sector, I think because we don't fit into a hierarchical, institutionalised world, and we're comfortable with the unknown. When it comes to grand occasions like the Millennium, Cities of Culture, the London 2012 Olympics and Paralympics, is it any wonder that it's the outdoor arts sector that is asked to animate public spaces, direct events of huge scale, bring together an extraordinary range of talent, unlocking people's imaginations and enabling people to take pride in where they live, work and play. This sector has grown enormously, and I hope today proves to be useful, informative, inspiring and entertaining. I know we have a large number of young people new to this sector here today. EA, I think, they may not have arrived yet, has brought teams of young producers new to the sector who've been delivering a variety of amazing and engaging projects in various locations across the UK through our Paper Piece and Blink projects and recent partnerships with the Benny Grant Centre in Tottenham. So I hope you can take advantage of all the knowledge in this room, but please also bring your aspirations, your enthusiasm and new ways of working and looking at things, and inspire us all, please. You are the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Grab yourself back down. Thank you, Deb, very much indeed. So a little bit of an overview of some of our rich history. In order to kind of bring us to where we're on now, I thought I'd just take you through my journey this year. So I love traveling to festivals. It's the great privilege in my job. So I just thought I'd take you through my time on trainline.com, basically. So though we start in sort of early in the year in May, where I sit down with my husband and my cats and tell them I love them very much and I'll see you in October. So we began this year. Started off, actually, the first thing was Zara down in London. It had been in Halifax, and it came to London. Great big baby puppet, Mind the Gap and Walk the Plank collaboration. It was brilliant to have it in London. We had a little event around that, which was great. So that's where we started that year. Emergency Exit Arts worked on the London one as well with the community engagement programme. So that was a nice, easy cycle for me. Straight down to Without Walls premieres in Brighton Festival. So that was the look. I thought it was rather good, all these shows on scaffolding in front of the wonderful Breaking Down Pier in Brighton. That was the first time we saw a lot of those shows on Brighton seafront. And then over to Galway we went, and that was on the Aran Islands. We actually had some performances on the Aran Islands, which was rather wonderful. There's Lucy and Isaacs talking to us in this beautiful, beautiful day trip we had. And I ended up carrying, bizarrely, the Virgin Mary through the streets of Galway. With Joe McIntosh, and that's Anna who programmes Tarragon now. That was an odd experience. Off to Bedlam Fair in Bath. I think that was among many other things. That was the first time we saw Mimbras Lifted, which I'd been lucky enough to see in preview. Nice early festival there. Good fun. This is Cohesion Plus's rather brilliant collaboration with Festive Road that was part of there. Oh, there they go. Yay. No, they would. Dagfest, that was one day. That was a really awkward day, going to Dagfest in Dagenham. Great fun festival there. There's the Lords of Strut in Dagfest. There's Swank, good stuff there. Excellent. All a little bit southern, it will move, I promise. GDIF, of course, lots of great stuff to see there. That was the big finale in Woolwich that was then repeated. Amazing show about clothes, that was fantastic. Of course, my dear Gandini friends, that was great. Great big festival, and we did a big program there. There's one of our board members. That's Bingo Lingo. So then over to Amella, that was great in Tower Hamlets. Sorry, love? Bucket Brenda, I'm so sorry, the sequel. So sorry. I think this is a bit of EA stuff there. Lovely Mella in Tower Hamlets. And then, where am I going now? Am I getting out of London yet? Oh, Hat Fair in Winchester. Great fun. We had a really nice meeting there. We talked about LGBTQ and outdoor arts, which was very interesting. Then, this is brilliant. There's Orit. This is great. It's such a privilege. You get to see things early on in the season, and we got to see this preview. So this was Bridge in its raw form. That's the first time we saw it. There. Okay, now the travel got silly, because that was on the same day. I went up to see Mr. Wilson's second liners in Durham. That was a fun day on the trains. We'll be hearing a bit more about that later. Then Mouth of the Tyne Festival, which was in the rain. And I love that his member in the background looking really pissed off about the weather. They did, I think you did the show. That was good. That was excellent. And then Summer Streets in Sunderland. I just was up there. I literally never heard of this festival, but I found it. And there was a bicycle ballet there with a dog. Rather enjoying it. That was a little new one on me. Summer in Southside in Birmingham. This is still the same weekend. Get this. And there's Motion House under the moon. We love the moon. God, I've seen it so many times. There's Lorna's show in the bull ring, under the bulls. People sleeping under the bulls. I rather like that. Bristol Harbour Festival. Yeah, that's Extraordinary Bodies. More Strings in the Rain. There seems to be a theme there. So then up to Merchant City in Glasgow, which there's Ye Gods by Wally Range All-Stars, and same time we have Surge, which is Alan's festival, and that was one of your commissions. What's that called?
That's called the Traddies.
The Traddies. Of course it is. And then where do we go from there? Oh, back to Ireland for Spree in Waterford. Yeah, gosh, lovely. I seem to be taking pictures of companies leaving their shows there. There's a band walking away. They did actually do their shows. They did. That's a very nice festival, and it has this great parade as well. Had a lot of fun in there. Then Just So in Cheshire. Hey, that's all I saw. Literally, it's such a lovely festival, and I know Sarah Bird's here. That's all I saw was mud. But we had a nice meeting. We had one of our meetings, thank God, in a tent. It was good, and a lot of champagne was drunk, but didn't see an actual show. There we go. C'est la vie. Green Man, sort of got a bit better. We did manage some shows there. There's the actual Green Man. And, yep, then we had a little meeting there. Bettina, look how pissed off you look at me taking your photo there. Lovely. Then where do we go from there? Oh, my God. Oh, Spoffin. Oh, okay, we're into Europe. Hurrah. Festival Spoffin, there's Charmaine Strong Lady in Spoffin. We took some members, OAK UK members there, how to make a beautiful, just float an opera singer on a canal and just make the most photogenic show you'll ever see. Beautiful. That's our little meeting we had there. Louise looking a little bit worried there. That was great. Freedom Festival in Hull. And there, what have we got for that? Oh, this, of course, is Generic Vapor in the streets of Hull, which, God, we'd seen the show before in Great Yarmouth. I absolutely loved that show. And it was great in Hull. And then these wonderful young women dancing outside the cathedral. Beautiful, beautiful. It's filling up. Fira Tarraga off to Spain. That's my cat who wanted to come to Spain with me. Really would not get out of the suitcase. That's Bertie. Anyway. So that's a little, I couldn't resist. I was on my phone, it just came up. Hey, how ironic, Euroland was the first show I saw out in Tarraga. Lovely festival there. And that's myself and Extracts, Lena from Mimbra, Andrew from Hatfair. We spoke to all of the European delegates about a little word called Brexit, and about how we continue to want to work internationally. Back home, Great Yarmouth, lovely symposium there on activism in the outdoors, and great international festival. Some really lovely work there. That's a huge, great piece. Another Generic Vapor and Guerrilla Circus collaboration. Really, that's quite a drop. Lovely. Where are we off to now? It does go on to the next column. We're into, back to London. Okay, show from Stopgap. Well, no, this is a cheat, because that's all they did of the show, because it was raining. Sort of posed for photo for me, basically. So it looks good. It was a shame. I think Bicycle Ballet was there. You managed to do slightly better. Derby Fest Day, again, and that's Stephen's last year, Derby Fest Day. Phil will be looking after that. Lovely festival. I look forward to that every year. And then, where are we off to now? Still going. Okay, so we've seen the preview, and then we came back, and it was a little bit rainy, I'm afraid, but we did manage to get to see the finished bridge, some of it. I know to mention, we'll be hearing more about that very soon. Arts by the Sea, Bournemouth. That was a long trip as well. There's some really nice light work there in Arts by the Sea. And it was also, I find Arts by the Sea is a nice time to say goodbye to some of the shows I've been watching. There's Tangled Feet, all that. Yeah, Bloomsbury Festival, my local festival, there we are. How to get over the rain, put your shows in a shop window, that's great, that's lovely. It was, unfortunately the moon was supposed to be in Store Street, but it was too windy for the moon to fly in there. Dance Umbrella in Croydon, outside the Fairfield Halls, that's Urban Playground team. Lightpool at Blackpool, so this is sort of my last one, and it's an interesting festival because that's kind of a piece by Bob and Roberta Smith, next to kind of proper Blackpool Illuminations, and that's that festival was nice and handy to go up to the winter droving in Penrith. It's a masked festival, so this is the border control, the mask patrol. If you're not wearing a mask, you can't get. You have to deal with security. And there's Kamchatka going through the border control because they didn't have masks, which is quite interesting. It's a piece about refugees. Oh, look, there we are. There's Boudica in the streets. There we are. Hey, King, what do we say, Helen? Never pick a booker. Just saying. It's my little revenge. And I literally don't know what this last thing was, but I just... It was like end of season. Fine, anything goes. So then I nipped back down to the end of Blackpool, and that's Blackpool, looking rather beautiful. But that was actually when the clocks changed. I was there at Blackpool, going, well, goodbye to the summer. It's been a nice long journey, and then here we are in Coventry, and look, we've been using highly sprung local talent, and it's really good to be here. So, that's basically what I do. That's all the leaflets. I just chuck them out. No, there we are. That's what my summer looks like. And at this point, to all the producers, the volunteers, the artists, the programmers, thank you. What a privilege it is for me.